The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. Thanks for taking time to view our webinar today. This is Rob Wills. I'm Business Development Manager at LEWCO Conveyors. Welcome to the LEWCO Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor 101 webinar. Thanks for taking time out of your day. Today's objective will be to provide a basic understanding of, we call it Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor. It's one of the many styles of powered roller conveyor available. And we're going to talk about how LEWCO does Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor. Thanks for listening. Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor. We're going to review how Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor works, where you can use Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor. We call it BDLR or Belt Roller Conveyor. Either one of those acronyms is what LEWCO uses to indicate Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor. We'll talk about information that's key in determining an application. We'll talk about the Belt Driven Live Roller upgrades and options that we have available, and we'll actually go through a pricing exercise too. I know some of you might be new to some of you might be new to Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor, and some of you might have a lot of experience, but we're going to talk about how the basic instruction of Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor is at LEWCO Conveyors. There's several components that are standard in all Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyors. One, of course, is the conveyor frame itself. Those are the side channels that support the rollers. The next important one is the carrier rollers. That's actually where the product rides on the conveyor. What we're looking at here is a cross-section of a typical Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor. So the carrier rollers is where the product rides. Underneath the carrier rollers directly is a flat belt supported by the pressure rollers. The pressure rollers are mounted to an adjustable bracket which allows us to move up and down mechanically in the traditional Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor. Allows those to move up and down to adjust the pressure on the drive carrier rollers. The belt needs to return underneath. It returns free and clear underneath on the return rollers, and that's all there is to it. It's that simple. We'll look at a side view of Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor here. Yeah, there we go. This is last was an end section view looking towards the conveyor this way. This shows the carrier rollers. Your package would be sitting up here and then moving along the conveyor from right to the left depending on the direction of belt travel. Again, showing the carrier rollers. The belt is next and is pressed up against the bottom of the carrier rollers by pressure rollers. The pressure rollers are mounted to a framework which has an adjustment on it to allow for the framework to be adjusted up and down to adjust the tension, and that's attached to the conveyor frame. The return rollers they're spaced much further apart. They're on the bottom side of the conveyor, and that's where the return belt is located. This LEWCO's Belt Driven Live Roller design, the standard traditional one, has a flat belt on there, 6 or 12 inches wide, depending upon your conveyor width. Advantages to Belt Driven Live Roller. Well, first off, it's probably one of the oldest live roller styles, most oldest live roller style conveyor made. It's very effective for straight running conveyors, very cost effective. It can handle a wide variety of packaged products. That's pretty key. We need to have products that are riding on the conveyor that will be supported by 3 or more rollers at all times. Rollers are set high in the frame. Unlike some other styles of live roller conveyor, it allows for merging from either side of the conveyor, sliding the products to or from both sides of the conveyor, whether it's manually or automatically. You can go with long runs of conveyor. Most other styles of powered roller conveyor have limitations on either by the number of rollers, by the number of components that drive the rollers, or what have you. Or a Belt Driven Live Roller, you just have one continuous belt for just about as long as you can make a belt. The slave, we can drive curves off the end of a straight belt conveyor with a slave drive. And another key feature really is that the line pressure can be adjusted by adjusting the pressure rollers that we showed in the previous couple of slides. That allows you to have more or less drive pressure. And most of the time that's key when you're trying to get products from one point to another in a hurry, or if you have a wide variety of product weights. This would be a typical plan view of a Belt Driven Live Roller Conveyor. One of the things that's unique or different about this style of conveyor, if you want to make a note, is on an end drive for a belt-driven live roller conveyor. The end drive is located on the in-feed end of the conveyor. That's because when the belt, for the product to travel in the direction of flow, the belt is actually traveling opposite the direction of flow. And thus we want to have the drive pulling that belt through the conveyor, having it on the in-feed end. A center drive allows for reversing application or single direction application when you have longer runs. Center drives include take-ups to help with the belt take-up, belt stretch. Now we offer right-hand and left-hand in-feed end drives as a standard, and we offer a right-hand center drive as a standard. Some people go into the portal, might be looking for a left-hand drive. It's the same drive. You just install a conveyor in the other direction. The conveyor is bidirectional. Now where can you use belt-driven live roller conveyor? Common places for belt-driven live roller conveyor are warehouse and distribution centers. For long runs of power roller conveyor for handling a variety of product, that belt-driven live roller conveyor is very popular in that kind of environment. Manufacturing, whether you have a work-in-process conveyor or anything that can ride on rollers, and we can drive it with belt-driven live roller conveyor. Order fulfillment is another area. Progressive assembly lines, parcel handling. There's lots of belt-driven live roller conveyor when they're handling parcels. Traditionally, it's installed in a dry industrial environment. Application information. This is real key in what we need to know when we're helping you determine as a belt-driven live roller conveyor the appropriate piece of equipment for your particular application. And these are actually key in any application assistance questions. We can't emphasize that enough, that knowing what that product to be handled is. And what I'm talking about is not only do we just need to know a basic footprint, we need to know the maximum and minimum dimensions of your product size. That'd be the length, the width, the height. Length is the dimension that the product travels in that it travels down the conveyor. The width goes across the width of the conveyor that corresponds to between frame dimension. Height can become relevant if we have multi-levels of conveyor. Again, weight is important as well. Is it lightweight? Do we have a wide variety of weights? Heavy products? Again, they're all relative to each other, but they help us and help you determine which size, which style of belt-driven live roller conveyor to use. If there's situations where we have multiple directions where we need to go, having rate, products per minute, products per hour, that's real key as well. Oftentimes you already know what size of conveyor you want, what speed you want, that's fine too. But if you're looking for some application assistance, this is what we need to know. The condition of the load bottom surface. That means is it flat? Is it corrugated plastic? Is it just some feet, just small feet, like as if it were on a 9-pod pallet, for example? Though all of those are important in determining the right type of conveyor that we can help you on your application. The other part is the UDL, or Uniform Distributed Load. If the load is offset to one side, to the back, to the front, maybe it's just the nature of the product is such that it can't be uniformly distributed over the footprint. We would want to know that too. And of course the environment. Does it happen to be wet or dry or hot or cold? All of those come into play in helping with an application. We've talked about LEWCO standard construction briefly. You know, the standard rollers high, belt-driven live roller conveyor, but the ones we've talked about so far are 1.9 diameter roller conveyor for package handling applications. But LEWCO offers a variety of belt-driven live roller conveyors as an option. We've got a heavy-duty belt-driven live roller conveyor for those heavier product loads. We've got, as a standard, a 2.5-inch or 2 5/8 diameter rollers when the conveyor is for, again, a heavier load, several hundred pounds, or a wider conveyor when you're getting into 4 and 5 foot wide conveyors. The heavy-duty belt-driven live roller comes with a wider, heavier-duty belt just to get more drive. It's got larger drive pulleys so we can generate more torque, larger end pulleys to absorb that belt tension as it wraps around the end. In addition, the frames are deeper, the cross members are more robust, the support legs are robust as well. It's really a heavy-duty style conveyor for belt-driven live roller. Going in the next phase, and this is where belt-driven live roller went next, is have an accumulation style conveyor. One, you can accumulate by adjusting the pressure that we showed in the first couple of slides. The next way to do it is to actually have a pneumatically controlled accumulation zones for low pressure or zero pressure applications. By pneumatically raising and lowering the belt in zones along the length of the belt, along the length of the conveyor, sorry about that, we can effectively accumulate product. Accumulating product means that the conveyor is still running but product's not moving. Happens to be, again, the holy grail of conveyors, to be able to move something and stop at the same time without having to have several different motors or devices. One of the very nice things, in my opinion, about zero pressure live roller conveyor that is belt driven live roller is the belt drops away from the carrier roller surface and the rollers can then become free spinning. What that does, it allows products to continue to coast forward from one zone to the next zone, and you can actually get a better accumulation, a better density of accumulation by using this style of conveyor than you can with other styles of accumulation conveyor, whether it's power roller or line shaft or chain driven live roller. Those are all set up by zones. You have one product per zone. Belt driven live roller, our ZPLR 19, allows you to accumulate more products. In addition to that, you can either have slug release or indexing release. All of these control options are available from LEWCO. Our controls department are happy to help with that. We've also we've done away with the mechanical sensors that used to be in the conveyor to activate the zones. We now have photo eye controlled zones, which actually operate the solenoid valves, which operate the air cylinders, which raise and lower the belt up against the bottom of the rollers. This is a standard option from LEWCO. We have this in the 2.5 inch diameter as well. It's in the price configurator. One of the other belt-driven live roller conveyors that we have is our narrow belt BDLR. What it is instead of having a 6-inch wide or a 12-inch wide belt running down the center of the conveyor, we have a 2-inch wide belt which runs down right next to the side channels. The advantage to having that narrow belt next to the side channel is we can actually get narrower than our standard the traditional belt-driven live roller conveyor dimension. This is ideal for adjustable pressure conveyor. It's ideal for lighter weight, smaller packages. It's still a 1.9 roller conveyor. Rollers are available on 2, 3, 4.5, 6-inch centers. And that's true with all of our 1.9 belt-driven live roller products. Another standard option available from LEWCO is a 90-degree, or actually any degree curve. We use a true tapered roller in the curve to help the products track, around the curve. What it is there's a V-belt that runs underneath these guides and presses up against the bottom of the tapered rollers. In the same manner, we have a pressure roller that presses up against the bottom of the carrier rollers, and the belt returns on the bottom side. Keeping in mind the same thing holds true for curves as it does for straights. The drive is located on the in-feed end of a curve on belt-driven live roller conveyor. In addition to belt-driven curves, we also have spur and merge modules can be incorporated with the curves as well. Depending upon the degree of operation, whether it's 30 degrees for a spur or 45 degrees for a merge, LEWCO has these as standard options available. Can either be slave-driven from the end of the straight conveyor or self-powered, as this shows, with the motor on the side of the conveyor. We have underslung motors as well. Several accessories are available too. Again, we talked about straight conveyor, we talked about curves. A lot of times we need to change directions, whether we're pushing off the side of a conveyor at 90 degrees with a pusher. Keep in mind that belt-driven live roller is because the rollers are on top and they're steel rollers or galvanized rollers as an option. It's the surface to push off of is quite slick. It's very easy to push product off at right angles or off of with using a divert arm going off at 30 degrees. This happens to show an image of what a slave drive looks like if we were to drive a curve from the tail end of one of our straight conveyors. The curve would come off here and come around this way. This is just a standard. It's a standard option available from LEWCO. Keep in mind, we do motor controls. We do control panels. These are options available from LEWCO as well. We've touched on a variety of different kinds of products available from us, and that you don't expect you to remember everything that we've talked about. That's why we have all of the information that we've discussed is available on our website, It's when you go to the LEWCO website, LEWCOinc.com, you're clicking on products. It's right dead center in there is a belt-driven live roller conveyor. By clicking on that, we'll do it in a minute, but by clicking on that, you can get to all the specifications for the conveyors that we've talked about. I'm going to do an example of a price using our sales portal. Some of you may be signed up for it, some of you might not be. I'm going to go through it, I know it's kind of quickly, but we will. You'll see an example of how our belt-driven, or how we can get. As soon as I get the page up here, sorry about that. There we go. I'll be there in a second. Yeah. Okay. This is in our. You've already had to have signed up and signed our NDA in order to get this kind of level of access. But what you'll find is when you get into preparing one of your quotations, by clicking on the items, we choose belt roller conveyor, which is our terminology for belt-driven live roller conveyor, and we'll click on configure. And I got an error. That's great. Well, we'll go back to the one that I did then. How's that sound? Hopefully. Well, this would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? I'm going to go through the long way then. There we go. Belt. There we go. Now I can get to it. Okay, we'll do it this way. Click on configure. This would be, this will allow you to take a look at the variety of options available and how it affects the price. Keeping in mind the price shows up live up there. Today I'll just pick a straight belt-driven live roller conveyor. We've talked about 1.9 16 gauge, again, the most common size roller conveyor used in belt-driven live roller. I'll choose that because we got packages that are 75 pounds or less. I'm not going to price a zoned accumulation, but you can just by adding the word yes, and it changes the style of conveyor, and it'll give you the choice on the zones. But we're going to work on a standard traditional belt-driven live roller conveyor. Oh, push the wrong way. There we go. We'll leave it at 21 inch between frame, 3 inch centers. We wanted our conveyor to be 25 feet long, so that's 300 inches, and that should fix correctly, right? Yeah, the length there, and the length is correct now. Our bearing type, and again, in power roller conveyor from LEWCO, we use sealed and grease pack bearings for all the power rollers. I like galvanized steel rollers. Some people like carbon steel rollers. I can show you the difference in a minute. We'll leave this conveyor running at 60 feet a minute. It's a 25-foot conveyor, so we can keep it with an end drive. We'll fix speed, electrical controls, we'll work on those later. In this case, we just need a 1/2 horsepower motor, 460 volt 3-phase, totally enclosed, fan cooled. But you can, well, let's make it inverter duty just for the sake of argument. And one of the things you can do is by doing pricing in here, you can see what the price difference is to go to an inverter duty motor. It's $28.92 for this unit with inverter duty. If we went back to the TEFC, $28.19. You can see the inverter duty cost upgrade is not very much anymore. We'll leave the standard belt type available for belt-driven live rollers to find. We'll pick the conveyor as blue. A couple other things you want to do is if you want supports, most people do, we just pick the elevation that we want the conveyor to be at, run this conveyor level. One of the other things is belt-driven live rollers should run level. We'll pick 10-foot centers, heavy-duty supports, because that's what LEWCO provides on all our power roller conveyors, or excuse me, all of our power conveyors. Let's see. Oftentimes, if you want an approval drawing, we can add that on there. One of the things I want to point out is that when you do the approval drawings, it does add $50 to your unit, to the unit costs. We don't automatically provide them unless you ask for them. Now, what we've done is, now that came up with a complete price for a belt-driven live roller conveyor, 21-inch wide, 3-inch roller centers, 25 feet long. Also, when you click on, this is the summary of the description of the products. The next icon shows the little price definitions. Here's how much more it costs to have galvanized rollers. Here's how much the support cost is. Here's how much the approval drawing is. It is delineated in that little second icon right there. Most of the default position is this icon. It does come down and it does calculate. It's down the bottom of this part. Just calculate the lead time, the shipping weight, the belt length, and the roller count are all identified in there. And that all happened automatically. Click Finish. You can print it and save it in Word, and away you go and get that to your customer. So I'm sorry I might have went through that kind of quick for some people, and for that I apologize. If you want help with that or you want access to the to the LEWCO's customer portal and pricing, contact, there we go, yeah, conveyorsales@lewcoinc.com. Send an email in and we'll be happy to get you signed up if you're a qualified distributor of LEWCO equipment, and they'll send you a NDA and you can reply back with that and get signed up and do your own pricing. I want to thank you for taking time today to listen to our brief presentation about belt-driven live roller conveyors. Just a reminder, and coming up in the future, on the 21st, we have a turntable repeat of a webinar for turntables. Talk about transfer cars on October 13th, and I'll be back here in front of the monitor again on October 19th for a repeat of the belt-driven live roller conveyor. Thanks again for listening and being a LEWCO customer. Again, if you need product assistance, application or pricing assistance, conveyorsales@lewcoinc.com is that email address, and call us direct here at the office, 419-625-4014, extension 4003. We'll get you to Conveyor Sales Team. Thanks again. Hope you have a marvelous day.